So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at using an arm saddle to enter into a bottom side triangle. So you got a top side triangle. Real quick, we'll just look at what a top side triangle is. Let me have a pin Juji Gatame on you. Just a regular Juji Gatame lie down. Let me go to the other side. Okay, so a side triangle, just so we remember guys, if I have double torso legs, okay, so I might get there, for instance, by like Matt tries to interrupt my cross fist leg. Right, now I'm going to go here. Right, now I have double torso legs. He comes towards me to get up. Now I lock up the side triangle here. This is a side triangle, guys, right? We would call this a top side triangle, right? Because my body's on top of his. Now, we can use an arm saddle to get very effectively into a bottom side triangle. So, for instance, let's say I'm here. So Matt's coming towards me. And I'm trying to retain my guard by keeping my knees towards my shoulders, all right? I'm grabbing his tricep. Now, my right hand's on his hip. What it's going to do is it's going to come over and I catch my initial shoulder crunch grip. And now, as with all arm saddle entries, my knee is going to go to the side of his head and I'm going to push. Now, as I push, if I notice that his elbow is close to his center line, okay, and his shoulders are fairly low, what I can do is right away I can lock up a bottom side triangle here. All right. What's the use of the bottom side triangle? Well, it's a very stable controlling position where I can inhibit his ability to posture up, to escape the position, etc. You can try to strangle him here, but it's really best for restraining rather than looking to strangle. Now from here, an attack that we can do from the shoulder crunch is, because he's restrained, I can release the shoulder crunch, or rather loosen it, and lock up a kimura grip. All right, from this kimura grip, what I'm going to do now is my left foot is going to come to his hip, and now with the pushing action of my left foot and the pulling action of my arms, I break his grip, okay, like so. If he's really tight with his grip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my kimura grip, I want my pinky finger making contact with the palm of his hand. So I push that in, and then I pull it out. But usually, honestly, you won't even have to do that. Now I apply the kimura real light. Now he's going to roll. Usually what people will do here to inhibit my ability to finish him there is roll. Right? Now we can end up in a pin Juji Gatame, at which point you've got a lot of different attacks. Alright, so again guys, we're here. However we get here, he winds up pressuring into me, and my legs are both on one side, alright? So he's basically trying to crush my guard, alright? We take a reactive arm saddle grip, right, a shoulder crunch, and now here what I do is, take a look, my right leg is going to be here. As my left leg comes over the top, it's a very easy entry into a bottom side triangle. You could go for maybe a reverse armlock here, but more realistically what he's going to do is he's going to hide that hand. In such cases, then the grip you're going to want to go for is a kimura grip. Now from the kimura grip, again, the basic grip break I'm going to use is I'm going to go from this bottom side triangle I take my foot, it goes to his hip, and I'm going to push to my left foot and I pull with my right hand, and then I go for the kimura. Now if I find that that grip is especially tight, what I do is I take my right pinky finger, I go from, let me just show you watch. I go from here, okay, to here. Because what that's going to allow me to do is when he grips, I can pull the grip in, okay, and I can break it, and then I can pull it out. All right, now I'm going to apply the kimura. Sometimes you'll get taps here, but honestly, more realistically, what's going to happen is he's going to roll. When he rolls, you could go right into the straight arm lock if he doesn't connect his hands, but if he does connect his hands, it's a pretty likely series of events. You could switch and establish a good controlling pin Juji Gatame, or what you can do is right away, I can go into the back. Okay, pretty much, I mean, you have a pin Juji Gatame, so anything you would do from a pin Juji Gatame is what you would start to do here, okay? So let's look at this series one more time. So I'm here, however we wind up getting into a situation where Matt is pressuring me, like so. I take the shoulder crunch, I push, and now look, my right leg, I want it curling right here, so that when this left leg comes over the top, right away I can form my triangle, all right? Now as he hides his hand to defend it, so if I were to try to make this grip exchange, let's say I was like here, cross face me. Let's say I was here, and I tried to make the grip exchange. Let's say like I went for this, and he hit the arm and went that way, and I tried to make the grip exchange here. This is possible, it definitely is, but because I don't have closed wedges around his head and shoulders, there's nothing stopping him from just raising his posture and, yeah, getting out. We see that all the time when people try, if I'm at a bottom half guard, I try like this. This definitely can work, but right, that can happen all the time. right? So what we can do is with this bottom side triangle, I start with the shoulder crunch, and then I lock up this bottom side triangle. Now, as he goes to posture up, it's not possible, okay? Now I have the time that I need to get the kimura grip, break his grip, and go for the finish. Sometimes, like I said, you will get this kimura finish. More realistically, he's gonna roll. When he rolls, we go into a pin Juji Gatame from here. You've got all the attacks. You can go from there. You can go for a straight arm lock. You can go for his back. Whatever you want. Okay? Make sense, guys? Yes?
All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to compare the top side triangle with the bottom side triangle, explain how to enter into each of the positions and what you're going to use each of the positions for. All right. Now, of course, because it's fundamentally the same position, there's going to be a lot of similarities. I'd say there's more similarities than there are differences with these positions, but at the same time, we do want to understand what distinguishes one from the other. Okay, like how are the different ways we're going to get to and use each of these positions. All right. So anyway, later in the instructional, you can watch the entire analysis I make of the three roles from the black basement that I include in the instructional. But for now, we're just going to look at the aspect of the roll that has to do with the side triangle. So I get a shoulder crunch, and I chain into an arm saddle, and I roll my training partner through to a pinned Juji Gatame. Once I'm here, I establish a torso leg and a crossface leg. You see right away he's looking to interrupt my torso leg. Oftentimes in the pinned Juji Gatame, what people are going to look to do is they're going to look to interrupt either your torso leg or your crossface leg or both. Okay, because it's the action of your torso leg and your crossface leg acting together that's going to give you a very strong pinned Juji Gatame that you can use to control and then finish people. All right. Now, here he's looking to interrupt my my torso leg. Usually what I'll do if someone succeeds in getting my torso leg away, what they're usually trying to do is put it between their legs. There, what you can do is you can take, you can come on top, and then you can use, in this case, my right hand to grip behind the knee and roll through, spin around into a cross ashigurami. Not what we're looking at here, but just so you guys know that is something you can do if they interrupt this leg. Now, he's going to change, and he realizes he's not able to do that, so he switches to trying to interrupt the crossface leg, which in my opinion is the more common defense. It's a trickier thing to deal with. Now here, what I do is I take both legs and I create double torso legs. This would be a weaker straight arm lock, but what it's really good for is I can release my scoop grip on his legs and I can take a kimura grip. Now the purpose of the scoop grip on his legs, okay, is that it inhibits his ability to scissor his legs and therefore heist his hips, and come up on top. And he would be putting me into a bottom Juji Gatame. And here, because he's got he had a crossface. Never mind. I was going to say he was interrupting my crossface leg, but I forgot. I converted that to double torso legs already. Anyway, but regardless, he'd be able to come on top. Now, that's a problem if I have a crossface leg and a torso leg, okay? But if I have double torso legs, it's not really, and the kimura, it's not really a problem, because what's going to happen is, right now, the only thing keeping me from getting a side triangle or a back triangle, you can go for either one from this situation, though I do think the side triangle is higher percentage. It's easier to force. The only thing stopping that is the fact that his back is on the mat. If he wants to heist his hips to get up, his back is going to come off the mat. And it's also quite simply very easy to pull him like I did right there. And I can create space underneath his back to shoot my leg through, and I get the side triangle. All right? Now, the trick with the side triangle is that it isn't the best for strangling somebody. All right? It's pretty hard to get this arm right where you'd want it to be for the strangle. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who are very good at strangling people from side triangles. People with probably really long legs. But I don't have long legs. But I still make use of the side triangle a lot. All right? So then what am I using it for if not to strangle somebody? Well, I use it to restrain people. You use it to control people inside a set of stable closed wedges. All right? It's so controlling. And now what I usually do once I get a side triangle, we're going to see this is the same for the top and the bottom side triangle, is I work to get a kimura grip. So here I've got kimura grip. If usually what I'm trying to do from a top side triangle is get to a Toriko plata. Okay, I'll control here. I'll get my grips in place, and then I'll in this case in the top side triangle I'm usually trying to address the legs, and then the other hand is controlling the wrist, and then I'll throw this leg over the wrist to finish a Toriko plata. Okay. What happens here actually is Jason, my training partner, he recognizes the Toriko plata is there. The Toriko plata is in place because of the fact that my right ankle is over his left wrist. All right, so he's going to take his left wrist to the front of my ankle. But when he does that, he basically just gives me a regular kimura. So I can just finish the regular kimura. So it doesn't matter. The pattern we're going to see here, okay, is the establishment of a side triangle leads to a position of stable control, which we can use to chain into kimura finishes. Okay, that's the pattern I usually work with. All right. Again, we have a pinned Juji Gatame. He interrupts my crossface leg. See this here? Now I'm going to take this ankle and I'm going to go over the left wrist, and I'm going to push at the elbow. Now he's given right here. He's given a choice. He's either going to open his, as I break that grip there, he's either going to try to hitchhiker escape, and I'm going to go for the straight arm lock, or he's going to reconnect his hands. Most people, if they had already been connecting their hands, they're probably going to reconnect their hands. That's most likely the defense they're going to opt for. Okay, and if he does, now I'm in a situation because I've converted my crossface leg into a second torso leg. Now I'm in a very good situation to let go of that scoop grip and take a kimura grip. And now, guys, recognize that if he does scissor his legs and heist, it doesn't matter. We're just going to take this leg underneath and we're going to get a side triangle. Okay? So he can heist all he wants. We're going to get this side triangle, and that's going to allow us to hold him down on the mat. All right? Now, again, once we have this, if his knees are like, let's say his left leg, the thigh was on the mat, he would be stopping my ability to throw this leg over to get to the Toriko plata. So that's why I want to start moving his legs, the other way, so I can get that leg over the top. See, I could not have possibly gotten my leg there if the side of his left thigh was flat on the mat, right? So you got to monitor that and make sure that doesn't happen. So one key difference we're going to see between the top side triangle and the bottom side triangle is with the bottom side triangle, we are going to form like a full kimura grip, or like usually we're going to want to form a full kimura grip. Whereas the top side triangle, you don't really have to. In fact, I would say you're better off using one hand to monitor his legs and the other hand to control his wrist. We're going to use our wrist going like this to control his wrist. Can't really see it in this video, but like that's a general like kimura like grip we can form. All right. So now I chain into. Because here again, he frees his wrist from my ankle. I chain to a regular kimura. It doesn't really matter. As he makes that pass to escape the Toriko plata, it's right there that you can just grasp with a regular kimura. It's no big deal. All right. Now, in this next sequence, same general pattern. So here, I'm going to enter into an arm saddle. So I take my shoulder crunch. Now take careful note of, so right here I'm pushing into the arm saddle. At this point, you've got a few basic options. You can go to this hip. If you go to this hip, you're going to thread underneath his body and go to the far hip. Okay? Or if I feel that his elbow is very close to his own center line, what I can do is I can curl this leg here in and bring this leg over the top and meet it and form a bottom side triangle. Okay, that was only possible because his elbow was close to his center line. You see how now it's not close to his center line? Because they realized as I was doing this what I was going for, but it was too late. I locked the triangle before he separated it from his center line. Okay? Let's look at that again. And I'm able to lock everything in place. All right, now, well, let's look at the whole sequence, and then I'll describe the finish. Okay, so you guys clearly see it's a fairly similar pattern. I establish a bottom side triangle here. That gives me the time to work with to lock up this kimura grip. Okay, if I were to have just gone right to the kimura grip, first of all, his arm's not really, because he's cross facing me and his wrist is away from his body. It's not really possible to gain that kimura grip. I mean, you could maybe force it, but it would be hard to push the wrist in like that. Basically, you'd only be able to go for the kimura grip if he was going for like an X pass or something. Okay, and even if he did, it's you can get a good arm saddle entry from there, right? I show that on this instructional. But one of the big problems with it is the guy can posture up and out. It's the same problem that we see in like a half guard situation when people try to do kimuras from like a bottom half guard. Okay, like there's no reason why the guy can't just posture up and out. And in fact, there's actually a really good counter. If you check out Carlos Newton versus I forget who it was. It was an old MMA fight in Japan. The guy goes for a kimura from a bottom half guard on him, and he comes up and he spins around. He goes to that straight arm lock. That's one of the best arm lock counters in the sport. It's a real problem, and that all starts from the guy posturing his shoulders up high. Now, the great strength of the side triangle is that it can inhibit that from happening. So what we do here is, I have to make a choice here. With what I'm doing with my left foot, it's either going to go to his near hip and then probably try to transfer to his far hip. Okay, that's the traditional arm saddle sequence. However, a good alternative is when we feel that it's possible to transition to the bottom side triangle because of what is happening with this arm, we can do that. So I go right there, and I lock up the kimura grip. Now I was able again to lock up that kimura grip because his posture was restrained by the bottom side triangle. He was not able to posture up. So I can loosen that shoulder crunch grip. I can loosen a little bit, which is required for me to move my arms to gain the kimura grip. Now once I've got the kimura grip, there's a whole host of sequences we can perform to ultimately get through to the actual kimura finish. More often than not, when you make this grip break, probably what you're going to see is the guy's going to roll. He's going to do a forward roll, and you're going to have to switch to a pinned Juji Gatame. You can go for the straight arm lock, or you can go to take the back. All right, but regardless, you're in that situation. You could go right to a pinned Juji Gatame and then go to double torso legs and then get a top side triangle from there. Okay, and then you can get the kimura from the top, which has a higher finish rate. Okay, the reason why this doesn't have as high a finish rate is because there's an easy escape. He can roll, but the escape only leads to other bad things as long as you're ready to chain into those things. All right. So anyway, guys, that is the top side triangle and the bottom side triangle.